So this is my fifth interview this semester, and my interviewee is Ivon. I've asked Ivon if she could start by telling the people watching this video something about the background to the video.
So since we had the celebration of Dia de los Muertos recently, Day of the Dead, as a class, you know, during our free time, during break time or after school, some of the students actually volunteered to come and help me create this offering in honor of the people that have passed. So it was a really fun activity, and you know, sometimes it's just hard to get students motivated in the class, and I didn't really expect for them to come during their break time, which, you know, a lot of them did actually ended up showing up to help me set up. So yeah.
And I don't know how clearly you can see it on the video, but there, every time I've come to the class, there have been a few more things that have been added to this wonderful celebration, the Day of the Dead. As I was telling Ivon, we were in Mexico when this day, this quite wonderful celebration happened, and it's a wonderful opportunity, I think, to celebrate those who have passed away and keep their memories alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it really does exactly that.
Yeah.
Good. So getting back to our the topic of the day, I mentioned to you, Ivon, before that I was quite impressed with what you're doing with both the wonderful curriculum materials that we both agreed are really significantly better than what has existed before for beginning language learners. The textbook material called EDGE, E-D-G-E. And you're right, about maybe not quite, but close to halfway through the section, or Unit 3, I think it is.
Unit 2.
Unit
so
2,
I'm starting Unit 2.
So
yes.
it's Unit 2, Wisdom of the Ages, yeah, that's right. The first was about me. So I asked you if you might speak to me about what you think is going particularly well with this unit at this almost midway point, and what you think is going less well, and what you'd like to see improve as you go forward, and what your endpoint goals are for the unit as well.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, as I shared with you previously, as myself being an ELD student, I have noticed the transition to how this class is becoming more academic and student-based, and it's so focused on the students. Like, for example, the unit that we are doing on wisdom, you know, it's not so much about the literature, but it's also about bringing it back to the students. You know, the central questions that they provide give a lot of food for thought for the students. So in the sense, how are you wise, and bringing it back to the beginning of what do we think about wisdom. Usually we think about older people,
Right.
and actually letting them see that they have so many years of knowledge, and especially for this class in particular, that a lot of the times I have students that come with a lot of insecurities, letting me know that they don't know how to speak English, that this is their second week in the United States, and this unit is awesome because I get to tell them, you're a wise person. How old are you, and they'll tell me 15, 16. I'm like, okay, you have 15, 16 years of knowledge. So you might not know the language, but there's something going on in your life that you do know. So a lot of it is bringing it back to the students. And of course, the readings are, I try to make them engaging. And like, in the past week, I brought skits to the class so that we could perform. And we talked about how the characters, who were the characters that showed wisdom, or who were the characters that said words of wisdom. And they got it, quickly. They were able to see who was showing the traits
This
of
is
wisdom.
when they were doing the skits.
Yeah, when we were doing the skits last week.
Yes.
So.
And I noticed that the story that they're just about to read, in a way, celebrates how much wisdom you have as a 15 or 16-year-old, because I guess it's an African folktale, because the young son who tells his father how he can get up in the tree with a big pot of knowledge or wisdom is certainly the wise one.
Yeah, exactly.
With an interesting twist.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's just so important. They're at an age where they're teenagers. I mean, insecurities, they have, you know, they have all these things that are global feelings that, you know, any teenager can experience them at this age.
Right.
But, I mean, in this class, you know, we have a lot of issues with, you know, thick accents and being embarrassed of speaking in front of others.
Right.
But, you know, fortunately, the community of our class is just so strong that I see them, you know, volunteer, like, who wants to volunteer for this? And they don't even hesitate. Like, I haven't had a day where I don't have at least one person who is willing to put themselves on the line.
Yeah. In the vocab skits today, I noticed, I think it was group 2.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the vocabulary word was, but one of the not older women, but one of the more confident young girls in your class
Yes.
turned to her fellow student and actually gave him the language
Yes.
that he needed. So just like you do.
It was amazing for me. I had like my little teaching moment today, as you saw. You know, I tell the students, I model for you. If you don't know how to pronounce it, let me know. I will say the word and you repeat after me, because I want them to gain that confidence. And today, as you notice, I just had like a big smile on my face because one of my students actually reproduce what I always do for them, and it was just so amazing to see them, you know, help their classmates. So actually, Leo, my student, he just came from Mexico.
I thought he was
He's
new.
a new
Yes,
student.
yes, 'cause
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him before, but he had this big smile on his face
Yes.
when he was able to repeat after another student.
Somebody who was helping him. And you know, that was
the
not, at the
contribution that he
beginning,
made
it was
to the
not
group.
that way, you know, like at the beginning I would ask him, Leo, can you come up? And he would be like, I don't know English, you know. I would just get this reaction of, oh man, really, do I have to go up? But I think as he soon saw the, you know, the community of the class and how we're all willing to participate, I mean, he's on board, and I'm just so happy with that. But yeah, that was amazing.
Talk to me a little bit about one of the things you mentioned in your reflection, and that's there's a subset of your students that aren't progressing as rapidly as the majority of your students.
Yes.
I actually don't notice that so much as I'm observing the classroom engaged in either the whole class activities or the small group or the skit type activities, because the progress seems to be so uniform. But of course you notice that a lot more than I do. So you were talking a little bit in your reflections about using Jenny and Fawn to address that question. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
So I have noticed that, you know, as we know, for a lot of English language learners, their understanding level will be pretty high. So, you know, when I engage in conversations with them, I know that they understand most of the material or most of the language that I'm providing for them, but when it comes to writing or communicating, that's where they're having issues. You know, a lot of them will still struggle with the writing, and especially we have begun to start doing journals, and I give them 10 minutes to write journals. You know, I usually get them started with a sentence just to get them going so that they can, you know, get in the habit of writing. And most of my students have been producing a lot of writing that, you know, I was really impressed to see how much writing they're producing, you know.
It's quite a change, actually, even from the last time we spoke on this very issue.
Exactly.
And I saw it going on this morning.
And
today.
you see the concentration, like, it's just, you know, it's silent all the way, and they're just doing their thing. They know that once the timer goes off, pencils down, it happens automatically. So I did notice that a lot of my other students were still struggling. And, you know, one of the solutions that I have thought about was having my tutors work with a smaller group, you know, to kind of target the issues that are preventing them from catching up with the class. And I mean, some of my students are new as well, so I wouldn't even say that most of my students are not moving forward, because I think as a whole class, like you mentioned, they're definitely moving forward. But, you know, obviously this is ELD, so I'm always getting new students as the year goes on. And I mean, most classes might get new students, but I get like 4, 5, you know, 6. You saw how my classes just blew up like out of nowhere. So I just want to make sure that when these new students come in, they don't feel the pressure that we're so into into the material that they're just so behind and there's no way to catch them up. So, you know, I'm definitely interested in seeing how this is gonna work and having, you know, target groups that, you know, how do we get them so that they can catch up with the class and be at the same level. And fortunately, as you know, I have my tutors who they help me a lot.
So I think it would be a wonderful use of Jenny and Fawn in that capacity. I think the other thing that's likely to affect the what you might call the varying rates of learning among your students, even those who have been in the class from the beginning, is the background, the linguistic background that they bring. Because you mentioned that there was one of your students who comes from a background where the family is not literate in, I think it was Spanish, but it might have been Vietnamese, I've forgotten which.
It's Spanish.
Right. So that's going to make it more challenging for the student, and perhaps would make the additional assistance that Jenny and Fawn could provide.
So before, you know, I just had them walk around the classroom to see, you know, as they walked around, just to notice who needs the help, or just walk around, be aware.
Right.
But now I have decided to, you know, do a more focused one-on-one, provide a little bit of sense of one-on-one, because they will be working with a group, but you know, at least they can have the
one-on-one. Give the student aides, I think, a little bit more of a sense of, as you said, they're already feeling like their role in the classroom is significantly more important than in other classrooms in which they've been student aides, and this will even heighten that when they see the progress that individual
of the students. So I think even for them, you know, to see it as you know, the impact that they're having in my classroom, and I think just in general for anybody that comes in, you know, it's just a community and bringing people together so that we can move forward to
the sense of community
achieve,
is profound, just profound, Ivon. It's really amazing to see the support that students give to one another. That's a great goal. I know we don't have time, but if you could say just a few words about your endpoint goals for where you hope your students will be by the end of the unit or by the next end of the
So, you know, we're moving forward on focusing more on the writing. I know we do a lot of oral presentations, but now I want to focus more on the writing. So I want to make sure that, you know, I mean, we don't, in ELD 1, we don't require essays, just because of the fact that a lot of the students just literally came from their country, you know, so it would be really unjust to require, you know, academic writing from them in a sense of an essay or something more formal, but I do want to get them started in the habit of writing. And I mean, as you know, also we are having field trips in which, you know, I want them to take this knowledge outside of the classroom. For me, that's the most valuable thing that I could ever give for them. So, you know, we're planning field trips to Walmart so that they can, you know, start, you know, seeing how the community works and communicating with others, because this is their part of their daily life, you know. If they go shopping and they don't know how to ask for something, how will they do it? So, you know, just giving them these frames in the sense that, you know, they have this much confidence now, so take it outside, you know.
Right. Yeah, I actually hadn't thought about how your focus on building confidence within the classroom community is now being taken to the next level, where you're bringing the students outside of the classroom and saying, okay, now I want to give you, in a way, a test, and say see how that confidence can translate into a larger community where people you don't know are going to be asking you questions, and you're going to be coming up with answers.
And just you know, daily experiences, you know, going to the supermarket and not knowing how to ask for something in English. I mean, for some of them, it can't even be such a traumatic experience, because it's frustrating. It's you know, it's a lot of mixed emotions. So now I want to give them that chance too.
But having the support of the class, because of course the field trips will be done with the class as a whole. Thank you very much, Ivon.
Thank you as well for coming to my classroom. I enjoy that you are witnessing this, you know.
I am enjoying
this growth. Like, I mean, I see it, but when other people notice it, I think it makes it more, you know, vivid and relevant, because I'm here with them every day. So
Well, one of my goals for these videotapes is that they'll help to convince people who don't know very much about public education that some wonderful things are going on in our public schools, and
Yes.
the dedication of teachers like you, and
Thank
the
you.
contribution that teachers like you are making to the growth of their students is just really almost unbelievable from a person who doesn't, isn't familiar with these
Yes.
settings. And quite frankly, Ivon, quite impressive to me as well, even though I have seen a
Thank
lot
you.
of classrooms, but your classroom is exceptional.
Thank you.